When you think of designers who have a body of work, who comes to mind? I mean, one of mine, obviously, would be Martin Wallace, right? I mean, the guy's been around for years and years and years and years making great games, right? Some of them like Steam, or the newest one, Australia, or the Railways of the World with Glenn Drover. And it's just fantastic, tight Euro games that actually fit their industrial type theme and their Cthulhu theme with trains and Cthulhu. Someone made a joke one time, like, when are we getting a ticket to ride Cthulhu? Well, we have trains and Cthulhu here, but that's not what we're talking about today. Today, we're talking about a different topic. Question of the day: what game would you like to see, maybe unpretty game, redone a la what we're talking about today in the brass Lancashire style? You've probably seen this. This is brass Lancashire. It is a gorgeous looking game. They have redone everything from the art to the pieces to the money has been redone if you got the deluxe version, which is what we're going to take a look at today. But that's the question I have for you. What game would you like to see? Now, it's obviously got to be a game that you already like that is not so pretty maybe, but what game would you like to see given the brass Lancashire treatment? Anyway, I'm Brian Drake here on the latest retro. Let's dive in, see how brass plays. We'll do a quick overview. Again, I know that some of you have played brass for years and years, but like Stan Lee said, every issue might be someone's first issue of Spider-Man. So I'm going to give you a quick overview how to play it. We'll take a look at what makes the deluxe version different, or the updated version here just in general from Roxley Games different than the old classic style. And then we'll get final thoughts on the whole package together at the end. The total package, the Lex Luger at the end. So this is everyone's player board. They get something that all looks like this, nice, thick, chunky cardboard. Everyone also gets these pieces which will go out onto the board, kind of like this. All of your buildings get put out here in order. So you've got 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s of cotton gins, cotton mills, whatever it is. You've got your ports here, your ships. Notice that everything on the bottom here has this symbol, which means canal era, which you'll notice your railroads on the back have a canal symbol. That means, because the game is broken up into two eras, because the game takes place over 100 years, the original era of industry was canals. You would use the canals in England to ship stuff up the river, and then it changed when the railroads hit and industry exploded with railroads, and obviously you change the game midway through. Stuff gets pulled off the board. All level 1 buildings get pulled off the board. Other things happen as well, but just know that there's a big midpoint where the game changes. But any of these symbols with the blue half moon symbol versus the black half moon symbol here, those are canal only, and those can only be built during the canal era, and will get pulled off during the canal era as well. So just know that that is kind of what that's for. You have all these different ones that go higher, so in order to build these higher ones, you either have to build out of all of the ones that are there, or you can upgrade, which means you just discard what's there by paying a card. Now when you discard one of these tokens, it basically means that you're getting this ready to move up. When you do the develop action, it costs an iron, so just know that you can either buy it from the board, or if you have an ironworks somewhere, you can get it in your network, or connected to it, you can get iron from there, and therefore could potentially activate one of these buildings over here. So once you upgrade the ships, develop the ships twice, you can then build the shipyard here, but you can't do it until it's built. These, however, you can already build, but they just get better and better, obviously, the higher up you go. And the cost changes. The cost is on the left there. That's the dollar amount, and the fact that they take coal. These take iron and coal, and a dollar amount there. This tells you how many points you're going to get in income when that activates, and how much victory points they're worth, or how many victory points they're worth after it. You also, in your play area, will get a bunch of cards. Now, I wanted to show you this for the deluxe edition. First of all, the art is fantastic in just the regular Roxley version, but in the deluxe edition, you get these double versions of the art card. So Cotton doesn't just have one art, it has two. Same thing with all of them. They all have a second image that was done by the fantastic artist of this game. So just wanted to show off the fact that there are two different images for each of these industries here, and they're gorgeous. This is what I wanted to show you here. The pictures of the areas like Colne or Barrow and Furnace, they all are little pictures of where they are on the board, so it kind of helps you find them too. Plus the colors are also on the board, so these are slightly color coded. You'll get a hand of 8 cards. When you play a card, an action on your hand, you can do one of these actions here. It takes you discarding a card to do it. Now in the first round you can only do one action, but in further rounds you can do 2 actions. Things like build. You'll place an industry tile on the board. We'll talk about how to do that in a minute. Network. You can place a link, whether that be canals or railroads. You can do 2 railroads, 1 canal. Typically, it's the way that works. Develop, we talked about already. Sell, you can flip cotton tiles by sending the cotton basically to a port. So you're selling from cotton to a port as long as they're connected. And when you do that, you can either sell to the foreign market, and all this I'll show you on the main board, or you can sell to the port in general, and then those can both activate. Once you've activated a port, it flips over. You score your victory points and your money when you do the scoring. They score your money now, but you score your victory points later. The last thing is take a loan. Taking a loan is not bad in this game. You do not have to pay it back, so it's not a bad thing to do. It just costs you a card, and you reduce your income marker by several spaces. So, there's that, but you're getting $30 to maybe not get $9 next time during the income phase. So those are what you can do. When you do an action, you have to discard a card to do it. Now, the way it works is, if you want to build cotton, you can either discard a cotton card, or any of these cards really, and build that industry in an available spot in your network. Or you could build with the city card. So let's say you did Birkenhead here. You could build anything that's available in Birkenhead, whether it's in your network or not, because you have the city card. So just know that that is the case there. Again, you have to have a connection to coal somewhere, and we'll talk about what that means in just a second right here on the main board. So this is the main board out here. All of these different industries are connected to other cities by the canal or the railroad, right? So your job in the first half of the game is to expand your network out along these canal routes. In the second half of the game, obviously you'll go around railroads. Notice that Birkenhead is not available until the railroad age because there's no canal connected to it as well. So you would have to have this canal next to it to build it in the canal age. And that happens for a lot of places. A lot of these places are cut off until the railroad age. Just know that that's the case. A lot of interesting things happen in this game. It's all about supply and demand, right? The idea of, well, if there's a demand for coal or a demand for iron and you build an ironworks, well, the market, if you're connected to one, wants to balance towards equilibrium. So it fills itself back up. So if you have an ironworks and it starts with 4 iron on it, well, if there's 4 spaces on the iron market, it will fill this up. You'll activate your building, boom, flip it over. You'll score your income, and then you'll get the victory points when you do the 2 scorings. There are only 2 times you score, once at the end of the canal age, once at the end of the railroad age. That's the final score. Up here, this is where the deck of cards is. This is where your foreign market for cotton is. So for instance, if you were to sell cotton from one of your cotton places to the foreign market, which would be any of these places that have this symbol on it here, you can sell to the foreign market. Any of these are actually just markets, but you can sell to the foreign market if you want to. You would flip over the foreign market tile, whatever it says, you would drop the price of cotton that much. And then when you sell cotton to the foreign market, it's only worth that much. Now you can obviously always sell cotton for the amount listed on the player board here. So for instance, you could sell your cotton for 5 income and 5 victory points, and it kind of gets lower on the income but higher in the victory points the higher you go up. But if you need to sell to the foreign market instead, that is a thing you can do because you have to sell to a port otherwise. That is how you sell cotton and things like that on the board. That's all the connection places. These just count as different places you're connected to. You also get points for each activated city you have. You get points for each city that has one of your network things attached to it. So it's a kind of wonky little scoring thing that's really good. So it encourages you to build your network to as many places as you can, to as many industries as you can, to really be at the heart of business as much as possible. Obviously, this is the cost up here of railroads and canals, and you have to be connected to coal to build railroads. So obviously it encourages more coal use in the second half of the game. Person who goes first is determined by how much money you spend. So if you spend the least amount of money, next round you will go first. So interesting to note. These are those poker chips, and they are fantastic looking. Excellent, excellent little poker chips. Look at that. Oh, it totally vanishes. No, I'm just kidding. But all of these are available in the deluxe version. You can also buy them separately. I do know that. So that's just a rough overview, but I wanted you to look at this map. The map is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, look at all the different places out there, right? You've got, look, there's Blackpool right up there. We went there this February for a conference. Just look, you can see the dance hall right around there. It's gorgeous, beautiful place. One of the largest venues in all of England, the entire Isles. But gorgeous map. The art in this game is absolutely beautiful. The whole point, by the way, of the canals to railroads is this. The game's played over 100 years, roughly. And the industry that changes the shape and face, the landscape of England is is because of this. So you're playing over that 100-year period. So I wanted you just to see the board, how gorgeous every little detail is. This used to be a map that wasn't so pretty, and now it's one of the prettiest games out there, but it's a deep, heavy, thinky Euro. So the mixture of that, the beauty of people seeing the idea of needing those beautiful little aesthetic details along with the fun, thinky mechanics of a good Euro. I love that this is happening. I love that marriage that's coming together. So that's how you play. That's what the board looks like. Let's come back up and see what we think about this whole package deal of Brass Lancashire Deluxe Edition. So that's Lancashire. First of all, my goodness, this game is gorgeous. I think we all knew that was going to be the case, considering that was one of the big selling points, was seeing that brand new art. But there are a couple things I want to point out in the deluxe version. First of all, this tray is fantastic, as we covered, but also these chips. These chips can be used for any other game that you just don't like using the money from, or the paper money from, or the cardboard money from, but you've got 1s, 5s, 10s, and 20s that you can put into any game. Now, they would look a little bit weird for Food Chain Magnate because they have a more Victorian looking style, but I'm going to use them for Food Chain Magnate, and I'm going to use them for 504 because they feel nice to hold, right? And they're solid, they're chunky pieces, so excellent. Definitely worth getting the upgraded version just for these poker chips alone. But as far as the game itself, obviously the rules are pretty much the same with 1 or 2 tweaks and streamlines. Is that enough to make you get this version over the old version? 100%. There are a few things that make a Euro, because you know it going in, they can be dry sometimes. There are a few things that make a Euro not really enjoyable to play, and that's if they're just not fun to look at. Every bit of Brass, the new Lancashire version, and I'm assuming Birmingham's the same way, it's gorgeous, I haven't played it yet, it's just good. It looks great. Every bit of, from the different art cards to the different city cards, where the city card is kind of a zoomed in version of the map. The map itself looks great. Supposedly the map is drawn from actual kind of references to the location. So Warrington and Runcorn looks like somewhere from Warrington and Runcorn, which I have no clue where that is. We went to Blackpool earlier this year, and so there was that place, and it's on here. And you can even see the little dance hall, which is where the conference was that we were at. So yeah, Blackpool, that's an interesting town, but you can see all this here in Lancashire. So final thoughts just in the whole package. The game of Brass in general is a really fun, really thinky game. It's hard though. Carla won the game, and she'll tell you she has no clue how she won the game. That's probably not happened. I mean, that's probably happened to multiple people before. And it's impossible to grasp on the first playthrough. I started playing this game on the app, right? I started playing on the app, playing over and over and over again. But the problem with the app is you can skip the other players' animations if you're in a hurry. So I wouldn't really know what they were doing. I was just kind of playing a solo game, and then there would be random movements that would happen. So I didn't quite understand the rules all the way, even though I played over and over and over. But now that you see it on the table and play it in front of you, you realize how tight everything is. It's tricky though. The difference between network and connected is a tricky, tough thing to do. You have to be careful to make sure that just because you have stuff in your network, someone's not going to come along and use your connected area to build that shipyard that you had been planning to build and steal your 18 points away from you. It can be done very easily. So just know that Brass is a very thinky, just fun Euro that's tight. The mechanics are tight. The ideas are tight behind it. It really feels thematic. The idea of going through the entire Industrial Revolution in England, in the Lancashire area. So it's got a really good feel. It's not dry in that sense. So to answer my question of the day from earlier, what would I like to see with this kind of Brass Lancashire redone style? I would actually like to see Steam. Steam is one of my favorite games, and it happens to be Martin Wallace too, but I would love to see Steam or Railways of the World or one of these other train games given that total overhaul, to just give it that pretty effect, to make it look like, like the Brass Lancashire effect, but with a train game. So that's all I have to say on Brass Lancashire, other than you need to check this out. If you like Euros, if you like to play games that involve thinking and really working your moves out, definitely go pick up Brass Lancashire. And if you can get the deluxe edition still, or the upgrades that you can get separately, do get those, because those poker chips are useful for other things, and they just look great on the table. So knocked it out of the park. Great job, Roxley Games, taking this and putting some spin on it, some tweak on it. And great job, Martin Wallace, as always, for pumping out these great, thinky, deep Euro games. So I'm Brian Drake here on The Latest Retro. Until next time, make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Latest Retro. And let me know what you think about the question of the day down in the comments below. Until next time, we'll see you.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool Stuff, in stock. Check them out at coolstuffinc.com.